And greetings from sunny Jyväskylä, central Finland. We have lots of snow over here, so probably a little bit different weather compared with the Central European one. Okay, this is a very important topic to me, so I'm happy to present a little bit a different point of view to today's theme, namely the institutional level commitment. And I'm going to focus on my university mostly, but also present a little bit the perspective, the nationwide perspective from Finland. On the other hand, I will deal with the role of these kind of supportive functions targeted for highly educated refugees within the higher education institution. And on the other hand, I would like to take a look at the role of the higher education institution and how to sort of stabilize or make these kind of functions more permanent in the academy. And therefore I structured the presentation to kind of follow the different phases of the work I've been doing here in Jyväskylä. From the project phase where we piloted the functions, following the current phase where these functions are actually located in the university's services, main services, and funded from the strategic budget. And then finally, I'm going to just shortly introduce a set of good practices, integrating guidance, academic language and subject training, and admission processes. This work is currently going on. Okay, just a very briefly about the University of Jyväskylä that locates in central Finland is a middle-sized university in the Finnish scale out of these 14 universities we have. Being quite international actually, so we have more than 100 nationalities in our student and staff backgrounds. And in this situation, in late 2015 and early 2016, to Finland, some 32,000 asylum seekers arrived. I know this figure does not sound very big to most of you in the audience, but in the Finnish scale it was quite a lot actually, because in the previous years those numbers annually had been something like from 1,500 to 6,000 asylum seekers per year. However, what was noticed, of course, was that the age range of the and backgrounds were a little bit different compared with the previous years. And therefore, the Ministry of Education and Culture in Finland wanted to tackle very quickly the needs of the highly educated asylum seekers and those who were actually eligible for studies, higher education studies. And we started 2 pilot projects that were named SIMHE. This abbreviate meaning supporting immigrants in higher education in Finland. And the projects were started here in Jyväskylä and then in the capital area in Helsinki, Metropolitan University of Applied Sciences. And the both institutions actually offered these focused functions from guidance and counseling to kind of defining and understanding the role of the refugee applicant in the higher education system, and starting to also to take a look at the language issue, because we have both the degree studies within the applied sciences and universities, and also short courses are available in Finnish and in English, and of course Swedish, but namely these languages for these target groups. And then also to establish a stakeholder network. So the first year we had this project phase, but soon we noticed that we will actually have to broaden these functions in Finland. There were a lot of inquiries, a lot of prospective refugee, and also I have to now, and the audience must bear in mind that these SIMHE functions are not only targeted for refugee background persons, but also persons who have different kind of statuses living in Finland as migrants. So in early 2017, these functions were broadened into other higher education institutions as well, to cover actually regionally the map of Finland, as you can see in here in this slide. But all of these institutions offering guidance and counseling, also academic courses, from short courses to longer preparative programs, recognizing prior learning support, distant counseling, and then also we are producing statistics and participating in surveys, the data collected by the Ministry of Education and Culture. Just a brief look to the figures, and I counted that some more than 2,500 persons have been participated so far in these functions. But of course, what must be kept on mind is that we are not only offering the services for the prospective students or prospective refugees or migrant students, but also doing a lot of developing work. So not all, for example, my work is focused on guidance and counseling and this kind of educative purposes. Okay, but then early 2017, my university here in Jyväskylä decided that these supportive functions for refugees and migrants should be established more in the university structure. And that's why the SIMHE services were located or were placed actually in the university's main services, namely the student and academic services and the team of admission services. And this was actually a very important change, I'd say, because it promoted the guidance as part of the admission services, where it had not been there previously, at least in this scale, and not very much targeted to the migrants and taking into account their specific needs and for example, in terms of time, allowing time for this kind of discussions and finding out study options and meaningful study and career paths on. Therefore, I'd say that strengths following the new position in the university structure have been the visibility to this phenomenon of the refugee in higher education. And also it has enabled the knowledge sharing and professional development within the student and academic services. And of course integrated the different aspects of and for admission from the applicant's perspective. However, what I found out in based on my experiences from my own work, was that when, for example, the guidance and counseling was done from the project, that was rather, let me say, distant from the main university structure. We could not take well enough into account the admission criteria aspects, for example, the admission criteria being the main tool for the university to admit the study places and to sort of steer the allocation of study places in the university. And therefore this was very important thing to become more, to start to know more about this kind of the formal tools and policy of the university. And of course, when we talk about the prospective student who has a refugee background, the position is not, as we know, always very simple, or there are many aspects that may hinder the path to the higher education in a new system where they have moved, having their backgrounds mostly. I've been, for example, discussing with refugees who already have degrees from bachelor's even to master's, or even to interrupted dissertations and so on. But mostly coming from these kind of higher education systems, we often do not know very well. And of course also having degrees that are not finished yet, therefore making it a little bit complicated to find a meaningful continuation for the degree studies when the degree is kind of almost there, graduated. Of course, we've identified, I will get back to this issue also in the last slide of my presentation, but there are gaps in competencies that are required in the admission criteria compared with the competencies sometimes the prospective refugee student. And also there can be some kind of differences in the concept of academic culture and learning, not to mention the impact on the statuses, the residence permits, what kind of impact they can have to the individual situation. So just in brief about this slide, the refugee may actually face the lack of training, suitable training, lack of academic language proficiency, and lack of real choices. So this raises a question, what is our responsibility as an institution, as an academy? And therefore, just quickly, I have 2 minutes, I guess. So what we have introduced here in the University of Jyväskylä since last year, we launched a program that is been where we actually had the first enrollment last year, and now we are looking forward funding for the second enrollment for the coming year. So this Integra in Finland program actually combines the functions of guidance and counseling, the functions of language teaching, academic language teaching, and then the subject courses that are being offered by the Open University. The aim of it is to by integrating this kind of studies and training, and also intensive guidance that has been linked throughout the 9-month period that each student is in this program, to sort of tackle the question and problems of admission and applications, but also to to offer options to build the competencies for those refugee and migrant background persons who already are professionals in their countries of origin. And then therefore via participating in this program, they can for example, build their academic language competence and their subject competence so that they can proceed better to the professions in working life that are actually that meet their previous education better. And then I have a couple of links here in my last slide and some pictures from Jyväskylä.